With a bigger family to support, John concentrates on making his home remodeling business a success. Together, they become active members of the community.
Laura and John graduated from the Citizens Police Academy. Towards the end of November of 2014, they became volunteers in police services.
From the outside looking in, they seemed like they had the perfect life.
But as time passes, Laura seems less happy. Heather notices the difference in her friend and wonders what is happening behind closed doors.
She was always looking down at the ground and acting real fidgety when she was around John, and I didn't understand that because it wasn't what I had seen in the beginning.
John was very demanding, very possessive, and Laura was not real happy at times.
The relationship that had started out with such promise is deteriorating because of John's need for control.
Or very weak crying. This seems strange to me. I ask them if there's any enemies that they have and any suspicion of who may be responsible for this attack in the house. Do they owe money? Do they have enemies? And he gives no indication of any motives or suspects. He said that there was about $8,000 or $9,000 that was kept in the safe.
There was a slight possibility that she did come home and interrupt a burglary. John said that he left the house that morning with Laura. They went their separate ways, but they both left together at about 7:45 a.m. As soon as he left the house, he went to a Home Depot on Lemon Avenue in Dallas to pick up materials for his job site that day. He told us that he met his two employees, James Villeda and Jesus Trevino, at Home Depot.
Word now leaks out to family and friends that it is indeed the bride-to-be who is the victim.
There was supposed to be a wedding. It was supposed to be fun, and we were all excited, and I just talked to her the night before, and I got my dress, and she can't be gone. I had the children at my house. I wasn't allowed to say that Laura was gone at this point in time. So I was pretty much trying to hide my grief. And they kept asking me to text their mom to say that they were over at my house. And they had no idea of what happened.
She was a mom, she dealt with school, she was planning a wedding, and she was a police volunteer. So nothing stood out to us that would put her in a risky lifestyle to be a victim of murder.
And yet, Laura was mysteriously killed with a single gunshot to her head.
Before John, Laura was a single mom living in Maryland.
Laura had said that it was just really difficult. It wasn't working out with her ex-husband. She had this huge house and just really no way to pay for it, and it was hard being a single mom of two. Laura used to tell me that she wanted to help and make a difference. Laura didn't want to take bad and make it worse. Laura wanted to take bad and turn it into something good.
To make ends meet, Laura and her two children moved in with her mother and brother, Brian.
She helped take care of her brother, Brian, and he's fantastic. He's autistic, and she lived with her mom.
Brian is about 18 months younger than Laura. He does have autism. He was born deaf. They had to do an operation to be able to open up his pathways to allow him to hear.
Laura's family was everything to her. Laura did feel responsible for Brian. Laura knew that he most likely wasn't gonna go out on his own, get married, start his own family. So Laura knew that she was his family.
We didn't really have a lot growing up. but we had each other, and I think that made us closer because what we had was family, and we celebrated being together.
On the day of the murder, John asked me to please take Maria. I left with Maria at that point in time, and she said, something bad happened to Mommy. I took Maria to my house. I tell Maria, go play with the girls' toys. Play with anything you want, you know, to have her go in another room because I didn't want her seeing me panicking. While the case was being investigated, CPS took her away from him, so she was staying with me. When I found out John was involved in this, I was heartbroken and angry. I mean, I had his daughter. What am I gonna tell her? She lost both of her parents because of this. On September 20th, I get several messages just at the same time that John was convicted and life without parole, and I was just hysterical with happiness. I felt safe. The children felt safe, and I can't even explain the burden that was lifted. You know, me and Maria, we have a really special bond because of everything that's happened. I lost Laura, she lost her mom, and at the same time, John's fight for custody of Maria is a circus. And especially after the conviction, he is appealing right now. But I've got pretty good faith that Maria is exactly where she's supposed to be and where Laura would want her. Because Laura isn't here to fight for Maria. It's John fighting for Maria, and it's not out of anything. It's not out of love for Maria. Because I believe love is not just a feeling or an emotion. I believe love is actions. He's never getting out. So I think if he really loved her, I think he needs to just terminate his rights and let his daughter live as normal a life as she possibly can.
John Makris was originally from Greece. He met a girl in Greece and decided that he would come to the United States. At the time, he was in the military. That's what Greek men did. They entered the military. But when he met Stella, his first wife, he moved to the United States. Stella became pregnant about 6 months after they were here. So they got married, and he started a business in construction. At the time that he met Laura, John said that he was unhappy in the marriage that he was in.
It was complicated. He was still with his ex-wife off and on, and I'm not even sure if John's ex-wife was fully moved out at that point in time while Laura moved down to Rowlett. That might be why she got her own place, as a matter of fact, instead of just moving in with John.
Laura became pregnant, and his wife was pregnant at the same time. And his wife gave him the ultimatum. It's either Laura or it's me. And he chose Laura. John had 2 sons by a prior marriage, and he didn't get to see them very often. They had moved to Atlanta. And so this was the child that was closest to him. And it was a girl that he could pamper. And by naming her after his mother, it just was that more of a connection between father and daughter.
John's culture is incredibly important to him. And John wanted to take the family and give them the experience of living and growing up in Greece.
Permanently. And Laura said no. She didn't really trust that situation. She didn't want to be in a foreign country. She just didn't trust it. And she also had 2 kids by 2 different dads, and they wouldn't allow that either. They didn't want their kids going to some other country. They'd never see them. It wouldn't be fair.